Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And we are bringing you the running news from the week, whether it is to entertain you on your long run or to talk about with your running group. We've got you covered. And here we are, already off to a great start. Jeff said, bring the upbeat personality because the stories stink. So that's where
And they're not like the stories are bad stories. They're just not upbeat stories. They're depressing stories.
Oh no. Oh, you know what? Yes, I feel like I know all the vibes that we have. It's not a story, but I just was reading something and I meant to actually fact check it, but I didn't. But I saw something about like worst fake journalist ever. Seaweed based bubbles that could be used for running events instead of paper cups. So now you're getting this seaweed bubble that you can just eat the whole thing full of water. So now there's no trash. Would you
I
do that?
I like it. You know what? I've never tried the seaweed. I've seen like seaweed chips and stuff, and I know people love them. Like they don't.
Yeah,
I assume they don't taste like seaweed, but
they do.
oh, they do.
They
You've had
do.
them.
I've had seaweed. It tastes. You don't eat sushi either because there's seaweed around
No,
sushi.
I don't eat. I don't eat sushi. I get chicken if I go to a sushi place.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this says it's supposed to be tasteless and vegan and completely safe to consume. Um, I'm not sure how they're getting it tasteless though. But like also like a
You
little
know,
bit of salt wouldn't be bad, I don't think,
no. I kind of have a vibe as to what I think seaweed tastes like. I'm sure it
Hmm.
tastes like strong kale is what I'm picturing. Am I wrong?
Yeah, like if you've ever made kale chips too, it literally to me tastes like if you do like salt on kale and then bake it and make a kale chip, it's like the same thing.
No, I mean, are you crazy? I've never made a kale chip. Well, my, have you made kale chips?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. I think that tells a lot about people about who you are and who I am.
Well, also the fact that you eat chicken at a sushi restaurant, I feel like is another insight.
Well, I think I've been to a sushi restaurant maybe once, and I'm trying to think of what I would have gotten besides. I don't eat raw fish. I don't eat any raw meats of any kind. I
Yeah,
eat well
fair,
done steak. So
fair.
I'm trying to think what they would have had, and it had to be chicken of some sort, and it had to be cooked.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah,
I
no,
feel like
I'm less
you,
and
I feel
less.
like you, Matt, and I went to a sushi restaurant one time in Westchester area.
I was gonna say, well, that's why I was surprised that you were saying you hadn't been or don't eat them because I was like, I'm pretty sure we've all been. Um, but yeah, so seaweed bites, you're down for a seaweed bubble, huh?
I
I
am.
feel like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and then you've seen it, right? The litter that's created by those, 5,000 runners grabbing a cup, and then, you never hit the trash can. I mean, I've tried. I've missed at least half of my trash can shots of
Mm-hmm.
my cups, and plus, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to drink the water, and at that point in time, you pass the trash cans. And
Yeah.
again, my time's so important to me. I can't slow down. I can't stop at the trash can to throw my cup out. No.
For sure. My only hesitation is like, I already, you're running, drinking, possibly like having a choking incident. And this to me, it says it's the size of a cherry tomato. So like that's also to me like a grape. And I can't eat grapes without having one of the little grape juices shoot down my throat and then I'm choking. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this is a disaster waiting to happen in that sense. But yeah, I'm down with the no trash, of course.
Yeah, but a grape-sized seaweed water bite, that doesn't seem like you're getting a lot of water. You got to grab a handful of them, it sounds like. I mean, at a minimum, right? You need 4 ounces or so every, I don't know, 5K or less.
Well, and here's the picture. So I think this is like an AI picture, but the one he's eating is like definitely bigger than a
Oh,
cherry tomato.
oh yeah,
Again,
that's a
that could be
big cherry
fake.
tomato. That's a tomato.
A regular tomato, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, this whole story might be fake, but interesting, right? If
By
it's
the way,
true, would you do
it's
it?
it's clear. I was picturing it being green, but it's clear, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Feel free. Anyone who's heard of this, or you're like, that's completely made up, feel free to comment, leave a review, let me know. How's the update on you got I finally sent you like a week ago the workouts.
Yes, and I did not get to them yet.
Oh
I
no.
yeah, so thank you very much, coach. I appreciate it. I unfortunately my first speed workout was yesterday because I do speed once every 6 days,
Okay.
and I didn't have it with me, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot it. So and I'm down here in Florida. I'll be honest, I need a treadmill to do speed work. I have no ability to judge speed or distance when I'm running on the street. Like I feel like I
Mhm.
was done my half mile. I looked at my watch. I'm like, oh my god, it's only been a quarter mile, and I was exhausted. So I obviously had run the half too fast. So on
Mhm.
a track, I feel like, well, track I'm probably better at it, but on a treadmill, it's controlled. I can't believe I'm saying this. I love my treadmill for speed work. Love it. I miss it. I can't wait to get home and see my treadmill again.
That's so crazy.
But yes, I do appreciate that you sent it to me. I haven't looked at it yet. My apologies.
Oh no, I was just like, I should have told you I sent it because I'm like, I didn't hear anything. So I'm like, maybe you didn't see it. All right. Well, you don't have a treadmill down there at all or a track?
I don't have a treadmill, and there are tracks down here like there is everywhere in the world, but I did not try to break into a track. I didn't know what the rules were like about trying to get into like a high school, and so I figured I could just do it on the streets.
Yeah.
And there's a nice beach highway here that I could run on, and
Mhm.
but again, it didn't work out so well for me. I tried. I did run what I think were about 5 half-mile runs at what I think was around 7 minute pace, 7.5 minute pace. So, but it's really hard to judge.
For sure. All
And
right.
if I was really good, I could have used my watch better. I'm just not. I just don't do intervals that often to where I need to hit my watch on
Right.
the lap time thing. So anyway, that's my own inabilities. You want to get into the news? I hope you again. This I need you to be upbeat. I need you to be. I'm bringing some bad news today.
All right. Let's hear it.
All right. Should we start with Diamond League?
I guess so.
All right. I don't know whether you've got it called up, but in my email, there's a couple things there. One is the first link is a Diamond League result link, and I'll just talk about a couple of them. The women's 1500 meter, I thought was the most entertaining race.
Mhm.
So I did send you the last like 100 meters of the race, but basically Jessica Hall. So let me back up for a second. So because the World Championships are in about 2 weeks, in most of the events, there was probably one A-list, maybe two A-list type athlete, and then the rest of them were B. And again, I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but these were people that were probably not in the top 10. In the top 10, there's probably one or two. Outside the top 10 was pretty much the rest of the field in most of the events. Not all of them, but most of them.
Mhm.
In the women's 1500 meter, Jessica Hall is probably one of the top two or three. She's a silver medalist from the Olympics. Uh, from Australia, and she looked like she had this thing won. She was dominant. Nelly Chip Cheer was in second, probably 20 meters behind as they came in with about 100 meters to go. And the announcer was just announcing that Jessica Hull had this one. It was all over. She looked strong, but you could see her tightening up, and then she just like slowed down, slowed down, slowed. In the last 10 meters, she was not walking, but it was pedestrian pace, and she got passed by Nelly, who was also going slow at that point in time. So anyway, it was an entertaining race. The announcer was sort of somewhat entertaining. So if you get a chance to listen to that and watch it, disappointed for Jessica. I do like her. She finished second to Nelly. So, but they're the only two in the race that I thought were noteworthy. On the men's side, in the 1500 meters, we talked about this last week, right? This
Mhm.
was the one where Yard Naguse finished fifth in the U.S. trials. He was probably one of the American favorites and didn't make the World Championships. And his path to get there was to win the Diamond League finals. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way. That's more my bad news. It was I think he had raced too much. He'd raced two Diamond League events before this finals, and obviously the U.S. Championships like a week before those Diamond League events.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just spent. Came in sixth in that race, so not good. Um, Josh Hoey was in a similar situation. He's the 800-meter guy, also one of the American favorites. Also finished fourth or fifth in the U.S. Championship, so he was squeezed out unless he won the Diamond League. Him and he finished eighth, like last in the Diamond League again. Probably just had over raced coming up to it and had nothing in his legs. Noah Lyles, we've talked about him before. Again, I'm not a big fan, but he is entertaining and he is a big name in track and field. He did win the 200 meters. The only other guy in that event was Tabogo. Um, again, top five, 200-meter guy. So he was in it, but it was sort of squeezed out. Noah Lyles just edged him at the wire.
Yeah, I saw he was like giving himself like fake not fake accolades, but basically fake titles. You know, when people just, you can
Yeah,
just be fastest in the world or fastest ever, right? Then it's like most Diamond League finals met, it's just like, bro, like now you're just like, I could give myself a weird, like, best Victoria in Coatesville to run, like just come on, do
you know what it reminds
less.
me. You know, what it reminds me of Chael Sonnen. Remember him? He was the guy,
Yes.
yeah,
Unde-
undefeated, undisputed champion. Dude, you got like three losses on your record, like one 6 weeks ago. Like, what are you talking
undefeated
about?
in what? Yeah, crazy town. So, yeah, he won, but I'm just like, oh, you always just have to be doing too much. Can't
Yeah,
handle
it's just
it.
over the top. You just be a little humble. Just be a little humble, man. That's all I'm asking for. I'm asking for this much humbleness, if that's a
Right.
word. Yeah. So that's the Diamond League. So now we're on to the World Championship. So we'll see how that goes. The Sydney Marathon was this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch any of the Sydney Marathon?
Nope. I saw some finishes though, but that's it.
Yeah, I didn't have the time to watch it. I was sort of bouncing back and forth between my house and Alex's house for dog sitting duties. So I did miss it, but I did see like you. I saw all the clips. So the notable things there is Safan Hassan, who I'm a big fan of. She's a great name. I love that
Hmm.
name. Safan Hassan just sort of just flows.
Yeah.
Um, she's one of the best marathoners in the world, Olympic champion. She was in the race, and one of the her and I think Kaskai was probably the other woman in the race that was recognizable. But if you see the link there, there's the listing of the finishers, top 10. In the women's side, yes, Safana-san won it. Kaskai was second. But I didn't really recognize many of the other names in this race for the women's side. And the men's side, similar. It was won by Kiros from Ethiopia, 206. Um, it was a course record, and same with Safan, a 218 course record. It's a very hilly course, is what I understand. The notable there on the men's side is Iliad Kipchoge, finished ninth at 208.31. Again, respectable for many people. For Kipchoge, it's probably, it's one of his worst finishes of late, especially for a field that was on the men's side. I mean, his name was the only one I really recognized. I mean,
Hmm.
Kiros, do you recognize his? I don't know that he's a top five guy in some of these marathons, but because there's so many marathon majors and these guys can only run two a year, the field gets kind of watered down. So
Hmm.
it was a bit of a watered down field. Um, I don't know. I saw some stories where people were talking about, is this ruin his legacy? I don't think so. I don't know about you.
No, I don't think so. And it's also nice to see because if we all think back to what a year ago when he DNF'd in Paris, like so that would have been a bummer to end it all, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think his whole thing is like how important running is just culturally and showing that there's no you're making your own limits, right? So like this is just again him showing that he's a runner and he's going to run until he chooses not to. And he's still really good, you know what I mean? Like I'm not running a 208,
No.
especially not like when I'm 40 probably, who knows. Um so yeah, so I think that's just people being too caught up in like being short-sighted and I definitely have been this way with watching someone who's incredible, right? You hate to watch them decline because you're, I guess, like projecting, like what I see you is this, and now I'm having to see you, come down, and that stinks. But it's like if he's still feeling accomplished, he's still a professional runner, he's still, breaking barriers and doing amazing things for his country. He's just like he's doing so much that's positive, and he's feeling. It seems like he feels positive about what he does. Yeah, I don't know why anybody has to be like, oh, it's ruining it. You can't run 2 minutes or 2 hours flat forever. And if he stops then, it's like, we want more. So
Well,
hey,
that's the upbeat Coach Tory I was looking for right there. Because, like I said, this was the second down story I had, other than Sifan Hassan winning, which I did love, but Kipchoge finishing ninth was a little disappointed. I actually thought he had a chance to win it because, again, the field was not littered with the top five type marathoners.
hmm
Um, but again, I mean, there were people in this race. I mean, the guy from Japan. There are two Ethiopian athletes and three Kenyan athletes that beat him, and a guy from Morocco, um, Japan, wherever LSO is from. What's that? LSO, and you come up with a country that LSO would be the abbreviation for? I
no.
don't know it. No. So anyway, and so he was fourth for Kenya in this race. So again, disappointed. I thought he could do better, but um, I do like that he still runs. He is the oldest looking 40-year-old too, by the way. Not you see him like when he's on the start line. It's like, dude, he looks like he's 50 or 60.
Well, and they always say though, like just not even related to running, but like holding more weight on you makes you look younger. And as like him being a lean person, I imagine just me, and he's outside in the sun all the time. He's out running. The sun's, beating down on him. He's, thin.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know if you saw. Like, I saw some clips yesterday of The Rock. The
Yes.
Rock.
What happened to The Rock?
What happened to The Rock? The Rock is like a pebble now. It's like, dude. So just as you were saying, like carrying a little bit more weight, you look a little healthier. I thought The Rock was maybe sick. I understand it's for basically, I think, a role that he's playing
That's what I heard.
as a wrestler, and so that's why he's leaned down. But man, I saw it, and I'm like, oh, dude, The Rock is sick, man. The
Yeah.
Rock is not looking good. But it was a bit shocking to me. I thought it was a health issue, and apparently it's not. Hopefully, it's not a health issue.
Right. But yes, no, that is what I've always heard, that the more weight you hold, to some extent, obviously, it does make you look younger. So that makes sense. And again, I think also if your focus is running, your focus is not on like skincare always. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, no, he. I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure Elliot is out in the sun several hours a day,
For sure.
um, running, and I'm not sure he's using sunscreen either. So
Right. He's got a couple kids. I think I aged like 10 years after I had a kid. So I think that'll do it to you.
yeah, and me, I'm trying to lose weight, and I'm sure I'm not helping my age look anyway, any with that. So anyway, that's the Sydney Marathon. We'll jump to our next item, right, which was the UTMB. And again, there's probably not a lot to talk about here because you and I are both not ultra geeks.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so that was this past weekend. Tom Evans in the UK won it for the men, 19 hours, 19 minutes. On the women's side, Ruth Croft, 22 hours, 56 minutes. Basically a 100-mile race. I think just a little bit of the story there for me was Courtney Dahlwalter finishing 10th. I thought that was a shocker because she was in the top three through the majority of the race. She led it early for the first, I don't know, first marathon distance. She was in the lead, and then just sort of faded progressively as it got closer to the end. I think she was holding on to second or third for most of the middle part, and then the last, I'll say last marathon of it because it's about a 4 marathon race. Um, she sort of dropped precipitously. So, did you see any highlights?
I saw her finish, and then I wondered who was that child that she was running with. Um, Do we
Yeah,
know?
I think it was a random child from the crowd.
Okay. I was like, who's this kid?
Yeah, because she was running by herself, and then with just maybe 100 meters to go, this kid, and maybe it was a relative, I don't know, but sort of just jumped in, and she ran with him, and like was it didn't look like she knew him, so
Yeah. So she's again kind of like an Elliot Kipchoge, right? Like she finishes and she's happy, right? Like I'm sure she would have wanted to win, right? You see her smiling as she crosses the finish line. She's running with kids. Um, and I think she just always has the same positive type spin on things, right? We've seen her at her possibly at her greatest, right? We've seen her DNF. I forget what race that was earlier in the year. And we've seen her now come back. And from what I hear, it was a tough race. And again, I don't ever like that excuse of like the weather was bad because it's like the weather's bad for everybody. But coming back when you're already trying to potentially have these mental gymnastics of like one of my last big races, I wasn't able to finish because of whatever the reason. And now here I am, and now things are getting worse. It can always just be a little extra. So yeah, no, I think she's great. It seems like everyone has, at least from what I saw, no one's giving her the like, oh, is she washed up kind of thing. It's more like always a light, always inspiring to watch, like incredible runner. So, that's always nice to see.
yeah, I took the similar reaction to that, which was like I was shocked at how upbeat and happy everyone is as they finish this race. Now, maybe that's what running 100 miles does for you. Um,
Maybe.
it maybe I don't know. I I I would feel like I couldn't take another step, but they're jogging it in. They're celebrating. They're happy. They're high fiving. They're dancing around. I would be looking for a chair, sit down.
Yeah.
The amount of pain you must be in.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
yeah. So anyway, so I did. Yeah. The joy that they seem to have is great. Um, and yeah, she was unbeatable. It felt like maybe 2 years ago. Like maybe that was just her peak, and she's coming down, and the rest of the world's catching up. But again, amazing. And yeah, like you, I don't see any stories about her being washed up, and she should finish. She should just stop and just go home, like
Yeah.
you see with Iliad. I don't know if it's a male female thing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, or just like exposure. Only true runner fanatics are watching ultras. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably true. It's probably a smaller audience for ultras than there is for the major marathons. So,
Right.
all right, those were your sort of three stories we talked about coming into it from the prior weeks. Then I sort of tried to figure out a couple of just new stories that might be out there. Here's the less upbeat story. Is there a link between extreme running and colon cancer? So there was a study done that was published last week that was 100 enrollees, and they showed a higher percentage of polyps. I'll call them severe polyps in a colorectal exam than your average. So to put that in perspective, the average population there may be a 1 to 2% risk for these severe polyps. In these ultra runners, there was a 15% rate. So the theory is maybe the repeated training and pushing your body to the max is just diverting blood flow to that area of the body, and it's causing damage that is then resulting in polyps. And again, one study is a before we go too far. There's 1,000 studies out there that running and fitness is great for your health. So don't stop doing that. That's number one. Two, these were extreme running. So it's people who had done, I think, 5 or more marathons, or at least 2 ultra marathons. So it's your different category of runners, not your typical, one marathon in your lifetime, typical neighborhood, what 99% of us are. So I think that's another takeaway here. But again, it is a little concerning. Um, I don't know if you saw any stories on this one at all. I saw a few places this past week.
No, I haven't seen that, but also I've seen colon cancer on the rise for millennials. Yoga gives you colon
Oh
cancer.
no!
So I am just, call me a hater of science. I was supposed to bring the upbeat, but I've seen so many whatevers about this lately. And yeah, so I feel like that's coloring my perspective slightly.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and you may know my sister died of colon cancer, so I mean, I take it pretty serious. You know,
Yeah.
I get the checkups. Um, but yeah, it's not an upbeat story, but I did think it was worthy of at least a mention to say it's a risk, and the difficulty is these individuals are between 35 and 50, of which for the most part are even that's before you even get your sort of scheduled first colonoscopy.
Great.
So either they need to move that age down, or maybe people in this risk category should maybe see if they can get tested. So that's my public awareness commercial.
Yeah, well, and it sounds like also with all the random things that I've seen as well that maybe it just needs to be shifted because millennials are between 35 and 50. So if that's what they're seeing is like that's on the rise, people doing yoga, people who are running, that like it all just needs to be moved, you
Yeah,
know?
I've never seen the yoga story. I am
I know.
shocked that somehow yoga is now linked to colon cancer. That's
Well, I
crazy.
think that was one of the like debunked type stories of like it
Okay.
wasn't actually yoga. It was people who do yoga also have more access to healthcare who are also just like being able to know sooner, whatever. It was one of those kinds of things.
Yeah, causation, correlation, to kind of
Right,
thing, right? It's not a causation. It just happens to be a correlation.
right. They just happened to notice this fact about this group of people,
Okay.
I think.
So I have another upbeat story for you.
I don't know, it gets worse.
It gets worse. This one is a woman is attacked by a bear on her morning jog. I don't know if you saw that story.
No.
So yeah, so basically the basic facts of that one are 35-year-old woman who is in Alaska. So doesn't happen in your everyday location. It happens in Alaska. She goes out for her morning run between 5 and 5:30. About 50 yards from her house, she is attacked by a bear.
What kind
The
of bear?
bear, the bear drags her 100 yards, 100 yards, and onto a neighbor's property. The neighbor hears this bear, you know, barking and sort of making its grunting noises, knows it's a bear, assumes it's got some kind of animal,
Oh,
and
gee.
it's dark outside, so he's not going outside to check on it. He basically waits till daylight, goes outside, finds the woman on his property. She's mauled in the face and scalp area, and um, basically the bear's not to be found. So I don't know. Again, not an upbeat story. It was more like, wow, can you even imagine? Like you go out for your morning run and you're attacked by a bear. I mean,
Wait,
it's just
is she okay? Or she
she's not okay. She's not dead.
oh,
So
okay.
she was in shock. She was able to speak. They're now on the lookout for this brown bear. Um, I don't know about you can watch the newscast. I sent you a link to the newscast, but what I thought was somewhat entertaining was the news. The commentator usually kicks it to the local reporter. So the person in the studio is talking about this story, and she kicks it to the local reporter, who gives the basic fact, and the woman kicks back to her. Again, the one in the studio sort of kicks it back to the local and says, like, so do we have any news about the bear? And it's like, no, no, you're missing the story here. It's the woman we care about. The woman's like, yeah, it's a brown bear. It's that doesn't really narrow it down a whole lot.
My
But
goodness.
yeah, it was again not an upbeat story. I just thought I saw it was interesting. We talked about people being attacked on runs before, but not bear attacks, more like human attacks. Um,
Right.
I'm
I'm
concerned
surprised.
about.
Like, I mean, brown bears are usually pretty vicious, but I'm surprised it like left. That's why I asked if she was okay because I was like,
You
it
thought she
left.
was dead? Yeah, I don't. They didn't get into the like what was her strategy for survival. Did she play dead? Um,
Right. Wow.
or what she did. I don't know what the great strategy is. I mean, that's what you always hear, like just play dead. But I mean, the bear saw you running a second ago. when it grabs you. It knows you're not dead. So I don't know. I don't know what the strategy is. Usually it's to look big, but once the bear's attacked, it's like, okay, that's not going to work. I'm on the ground. And
Well, I
these
think
things
the
are
problem is so many animals are different, right? Like brown bear, you're just kind of screwed. Black bear, you can scare away. You know what I mean? Like, cougar, I don't know what to do about that. Yeah.
You
Ugh.
seem like you know a lot more about these animal attacks than I do.
Uh, yeah, I feel like I don't know why I know any of that stuff. I read something a couple years ago about a woman, it was a group of women, I believe, that were attacked by a mountain lion. Um, and I don't remember how they got I think they all just like started beating up the lion that had the one friend. Yeah, like the woman's head is in its mouth and then all the other women just start attacking it. And it was like tough to get off, I believe. Yeah, I mean, animals are tricky, which is weird too because I don't think you were on this episode, but on our old podcast and we interviewed, and I'm blanking on her name, Jordan something, who ran that like 200 plus miles through the Australian outback. Um, and one of the things I asked was like, are you scared? Because she's running at night. And she does a lot of like long runs and stuff. And I know there's lots of animals. And she's like, no, like I know the animals to avoid, and I'm not too worried about like the venomous snakes and whatever other like, you know, animals that are out there. So I don't know. It is scary sometimes leaving your house.
Yeah, and the other thing that struck me in the story was the fact that you mentioned the cougar or whatever it was that had the woman's head. Was it the same thing here with the bear? And it's just this woman's injuries were basic to her face and head. So basically, if it's dragging you 100 yards, it sounded like to me that if that's where your injuries are, the bear must have had you by your head. Like, just imagine the size of a bear's mouth to get around your head, and how disturbed you must be by the fact that you're being dragged 100 yards by your head in the mouth of a bear. I don't know. It just I find it mind boggling to what to do.
Yeah, no, I think about these things all the time, right? Like, how are you going to react? And you obviously will never know until you know, or you maybe hopefully never know. But yeah, it's like, yeah, what do you do? Are you screaming for help? Are you trying to beat up the bear? Are you now thinking like, oh my gosh, what if it gets more aggressive now because I'm acting more aggressive? Like, the power imbalance that's there. Yeah, it's just horrible. And then I'm sure that poor guy feels absolutely horrible that who heard the bear and didn't do anything. And I think that's just like a tough thing to have to know.
I'm not feeling bad at all for someone who heard a bear attack, didn't help, and he feels a little bit guilty. Fine, I'm not going to feel bad for him. It's like, man, I'm feeling bad for the woman who got mauled and nobody else. Not
No,
bad, feeling bad for the bear. I'm not feeling bad for the guy who heard the bear. I'm not feeling bad for the first responders who had to deal with this. I'm feeling bad for no one but the woman who got attacked.
no, for sure. I was just saying, I imagine he feels bad. And also, like, what a strange person who's not nosy enough to like shine a light. Like the amount of times I would like shine flashlights outside, like I'd want to see what's going on in my yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, no, that's true. It's like just to say I'm going to go back to bed until it's daylight. Again, I mean, again, he certainly had no inkling it was a woman. Apparently, she wasn't screaming,
Yeah.
which is the other thing that sort of struck me as a bit odd. I would just be panicked to all end and doing nothing but screaming like a little girl.
Right. I
So
guess if
that's a
you're in
little bit,
shock, I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah. No, and it's funny too that people are asking. You said that the news reporter asked about the bear, but it's like, I mean, the bear did what bears do. You know what I mean? It's not like we have to like go on unless they do that in Alaska, where they're like go on manhunts for bears that have now attacked people. But like, that is what bears, like animals that live, that's what they would do. It
Yeah,
stinks.
yeah, and I do think they like whenever there's an animal attack, I do find like they want to hunt down the animal and kill it.
Right.
Like once it's attacked once, it's maybe more likely to attack again. Or this is just vengeance. I'm not sure which. Like they do the same with, like you see the same thing with sharks, right? I mean, again, not that Jaws was real life, but way back when, my Jaws, they went hunting for the shark that attacked people at the beach. But I
Right.
think there is some reality to that they do hunt down animals that have attacked a person um, to prevent it from happening again. I
Yeah.
don't know what the prevention is, if it's a deterrent or if it's that an animal is more likely to attack a person if it's attacked them once. I find
Yeah.
those things must be situational. It's like you surprise the bear, it's protecting its cubs. There's some situation that occurred that caused this. I don't know that it's a bear that's just hungry for people. It didn't eat
Right. Crazy. Yeah. Wow, what a bummer list of
her.
stories.
Yeah, so maybe you should be bringing. Hopefully, you're prepared. Did you not bring any of your true or falses today?
No, I don't have a single silly game. Let me see. ChatGPT, help!
Oh man, well,
This
if you could
episode
decide
is
to
so
do
sad.
it.
I
Well, my
might
last
have.
my last downbeat story, which I wasn't going to mention, but I'll mention anyway. Grand
Oh, no,
Slam
okay.
tracks. Some more facts came out today, or at least this week. I think the Atlantic had an article about a little bit of the background. I don't think it's any new information, but it's just more clarity that although Michael Johnson was talking about having committed $30 million of funds, that only 13 million was committed, and that the other 19 plus, and there was two different maybe potential commitments, and I guess I'll call them potential commitments. They may have been a term sheet, there may have been discussions, but after the investor went to the Kingston event, they decided not to invest. So I mean, I think Michael Johnson's got some liability here, or at least Grand Slam Track has some liability to for false statements that were made to the athletes and to the public that there were committed funds when these funds were not committed. Um, and the athletes are the ones that have not been paid. They spent, I think, around $18 million of funds, um, to put these events together and to pay staff and promotion. And unfortunately, the athletes were the last on the list to get paid, and they haven't gotten paid. So I think there's going to be some. I think it's in real trouble. I think it's never going to happen for 26, and I think to get an investor in now that's going to do it, I think there's a lot of reasons that it's not viable. That it's shown, it's basically proven that it's not a viable um, investment at the moment in that kind of structure. So that's my last downbeat story. I promise next week it'll be more upbeat. So if you've listened this far, please come back next week. I'll do my best to come up
I'll
with
have a
some
game
upbeat stories.
prepared. No, that stinks because we've talked about a bunch. We really liked Grand Slam track. And yeah, I agree. I don't think we're going to see any of this ever again. I do hope that someone somewhere can take the idea of what they were trying to do and kind of do something, obviously, like better. Um, because I do think, it was it was fun. It was a cool idea. It was fun to watch. Um, it seemed like people racing at least had a good time until they realized they weren't getting paid. So, I do hope that somewhere down the line there is something, someone's going to still try to do something a little more innovative than 3 days of Diamond League, right? Um, but I don't know, maybe just no one's going to ever care that much about track and field. It's also unfortunate too, because I feel like the people who are negative on it were being so annoying and whiny. And now it's just like, ugh, they get to kind of be right. And that
Yeah,
just is
they
annoying.
get to crow. I know. I can't stand it.
Yeah. So that stinks because I'm like, those people are just like, exactly. See, and it's just like, oh, you were being so annoying and whiny when it wasn't about you. Like, ugh. But yeah,
Yeah.
bummer, bummer of an episode. Come back next week. We'll
Yeah, the
have
news, it's running news. News isn't always upbeat. It's not always upbeat. It's not. It's not.
That's true. No, that is true. We will try our best next time. And soon I will be back to recording in my car, which is not really interesting for anybody but me. So, yeah, back to school time. Hopefully everybody's, ready for all that as well. Yeah, all right. Rate, review, subscribe, share. Don't share this